Welcome to a new episode of the channel. Today we're going to talk a little about a checklist that you should do when you buy a new guitar. It may be new or used, but you can find it useful. This list consists on 10 points that you should check when you're considering on getting a new guitar. First of all, when you check your new guitar, you should check it first by touch, then how it sounds, your ears, and then your eyes. When you touch, if it plays nicely, if it lets you play easily, if you can play it easily, if it's not too stiff, and if the frets are not cutting your hands when you slide your hands like this. Then, ears. Try the guitar. If you like how it sounds, then you can go on to the next step. And the last thing, how it looks. Imagine you check a guitar and you like a lot how it sounds, but you don't like the color. You can pass it and go check another one. Next step, new or used. There's some controversy about that. Many people prefer to buy new, but buying a used guitar, it's always a good option. You can always get a better instrument used than you could get for the same money new. There's a problem buying a used guitar, that maybe you can find the right color you want, or maybe you can buy it with credit cards or something, but if you have the money, it's always a good option. Point number 3. Origin country. China, Korea, Indonesia. When we're talking about Asian-made guitars, it doesn't matter really much where they were made. That thing of the origin country is only important on big brand guitars like Gibson, Fender, Music Man, or something like that. So, if a manufacturer moved its production from Korea to China, it was because it was more profitable for them. But the quality of the instrument shouldn't change too much. Point number 4. Vintage instruments. When you're getting a vintage instrument, you are definitely paying for quality. But not every old instrument meets the requirements of a vintage instrument. Many people call vintage guitars two guitars made before 1970 or 1975. Those can only be called old guitars. But you should always check. You can find some really nice examples going around. Always try the guitar you're interested. Point number 5. Hardware. There's a common mistake that you can buy a Squier or another cheap guitar or maybe an Epiphone, and if you put them Godot Bridge, Seymour Duncan or the Marcy pickups, and it will instantly get a lot better and sound like a Gibson or Fender. Sometimes those guitars have the cheapest hardware possible, but the influence on the tone of the instrument is not that much. So don't worry. Don't bother yourself making big changes like those, or if the guitar has those kind of upgrades installed, it wouldn't change so much the quality of the instrument. Sometimes some people think that putting some expensive mics will make their guitar a better value, but it doesn't affect value. If you got expensive pickups on your Epiphone and you want to sell it, remove them because it won't affect the value. Point number 6. When trying a guitar, first try it unplugged. Check if the guitar is resonant. After that, then plug it to an amplifier, try it on clean, and then you can go to try an overdrive or something and check if the tone is the right for you. Point number 7. Don't forget that guitars are made of wood. Sometimes cheap manufacturers go cheapskate and save money making guitars from more than 3, 4 or even 7 pieces sometimes. But don't let that thing bother you, because sometimes guitars made of 3 or 4 pieces sound even better than guitars made in 1 piece of the selected tone wood. So here you got to try guitars and check what's the one of your preference. Personally, I really like Norlin Les Pauls. Everybody hates them because maybe of the weight, but I don't think that they are too bad. Sometimes they are in a terrible state or condition, but those are always good instruments if you want to have a nice guitar for a really reasonable price. Point number 8. Try the pickups. Now you are plugged to the amp, put it as loud as you can, and try if they are microphonic, if they start to feedback, and if you touch the pickup and it makes a sound, that means the pickup is microphonic. Maybe you want that. If you want that, that's okay. Some people like me like microphonic pickups because you can get feedback easy, but sometimes with Strats, for example, my Strat has really microphonic pickups, and when you use high gain, it starts to make noise and whistle really easily. So always have in mind that it's a thing that you can easily fix it, wax potting the pickups, but I wouldn't bother buying an overpriced guitar with microphonic pickups. Point number 9. Dead spots. When you're trying a guitar, you should play all along the neck and try to find if the notes die on you when you're playing on a certain spot of the fretboard. That's what I called a dead spot. When you play the note, I'm going to simulate this because my guitars are generally well set up, but if you play the note and the note dies right away, that's a dead spot. You have to check that because one day you will be playing in a key that we don't normally test. We guitar players usually test guitars on the A scale, on the A minor scale. You will find yourself that your guitar is dying on you. So have that in mind and play all over the fretboard. And final point, buy the best that you can with your money. You can get an Epiphone Les Paul Custom for a good price, and it will look fancier than a Gibson Les Paul Studio. But the Les Paul Studio will always floor the Epiphone. Always go for the best that you can buy with your money. And all of this is trial and error. You should try a lot of guitars a lot of different ones. And remember that guitars being made of wood is unstable. So even guitars from the same run with adjacent serial numbers will sound different. So it's a thing that it's good to have in mind. Another thing that you should check when you're trying a new guitar is checking that the neck is straight. Sometimes necks get twisted over time, and that will be quite noticeable. Here is a photo of a twisted neck, so you can see how it looks. And sometimes in some 70s guitars is quite noticeable. Well, I hope this small checklist was useful for you, and if you like this video, don't forget to comment, subscribe, give a thumbs up, and see you on the next episode. Bye!